If he gets the Forest job offered to him, I think he would absolutely take it. I think it would be good for the men's national team if he left.
You think it would be?
I think it would. I think this team is too good, and they've been so bad under his leadership that I think it's time for them to move on. But the U.S. men's national teams, U.S. Soccer Federation is not going to move on from the guy they touted as being the best this close to the World Cup. So I think if Forrest offers him the job and he leaves, it's a win-win both for Forrest and the U.S. men's national team.
Interesting. Yeah. I think he's probably the best man for the job because I don't know who they bring in. But I just don't think this U.S. men's national team is very good. I think we're a lot like the England teams in 2010, 2012, where they look really good on paper, but aren't really that good in reality.
Yeah, not having a keeper kills the team too. You think it's Matt Turner, and then he's horrible. Um, yeah, I
But
just don't.
is Matt Freese the answer from NYCFC? I just don't know. I don't know where we can improve on that starting 11 that played South Korea and lost 2-0. But I also don't I just don't know where we've gone wrong.
Yeah, beats me.
Why is it so hard to support US soccer, the men's team?
It's because all of our best athletes don't play soccer.
It's exhausting. Welcome back to Forza Naples. My name's Ian. That's Paul. Paul, we got some catch up to do. We've missed 3 games now. We got to recap, and boys have a little bit of time off until the next game. Not until September 12th. Actually, that's this Friday.
Friday.
September's flying by. How has it? How are we already towards the end of September?
Yeah, it's crazy that all season we've talked about how long the season is, and here we are with just a few games left to go. It's really a blink of an eye. Um, I think that comes right early in the year. There's not a lot of sports going on, and then end of August, September, football comes back, and the sports calendar just like from a blink goes from August to December.
Yeah, we're almost to the point now where we've got all the sports going again. I know hockey and basketball getting ready to start up next month, but yeah, it's this first season's really flying by. And talking last Saturday to some guys at the game, and it was looking back, that home opener in March feels like forever ago, and it's kind of crazy to think we're all still in that same season. Definitely had some ups and downs, and I think we're ready to break down these past 3 ups and downs here. But yeah, this season coming to an end pretty quickly. We're almost through it, and boys, after Saturday night, looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's was weird watching the broadcast out here in California. First off, I almost missed the game because time changes will really mess with your head. I just opened the ESPN app to check some football scores, and it was like, watch the FC Naples game, like on the main home screen. I was like, oh, so I put that on just in time to see some great goals. But yeah, it's seeing the ads for the playoffs was weird just to think about that. Man, the playoffs are right around the corner, and obviously anything can happen. But really, at this point, it's what seed will be, not if we'll be in. I think so. Games still matter coming down the stretch.
Yeah, 3 home games left if you're keeping score at home. Still a few road games, but yeah, 3 home games left as we come through. Now we're in that final last 2 months really of the regular season, and just need to clinch that home playoff spot. I would love to see this team in a home playoff game. It
Yeah,
would be in the first season.
the fans got a great shout out on the broadcast too for being one of the best in League One. And watching some of the away games, I agree that it seems like night in night out we're getting a couple thousand fans, and there's only a few teams around the league that do that.
Yeah, it's been fun to see, especially in this team's first year. You hope that that's only going to continue to grow. Let's go back to a team that didn't seem to get a lot of fans. All the way back, we're going to take you back to the month of August 27th. We've been off a little bit. Paul moved across the country. I went on a cruise. Give us a break. But a team that didn't have a lot of fans and was playing on a pretty rough looking pitch. One Knoxville, 0-0 there. Was this more of a draw that felt like a win, or a draw that felt like a loss to you, or kind of a good result, stalemate?
Yeah, I mean, I think pre-match or pre-show you said um, we should have won. I disagree. I think we could have won. So I'm going to say that draw feels like a draw. You kind of watch the whole game thinking, as boring as this is, it's inevitably going to be 0-0. Um, and that was the first half, and then the second half it continued. Nothing crazy happened, and you walk away from team sitting third with a point. I think that I'll take that as a draw.
Yeah, I was kind of happy with it, but I still don't know. Kevin O'Connor had a free kick chance, and I still don't know how it didn't go in. It was one of the best shots I think I've ever seen live. My wife had gone to bed early that night, so she was asleep,
I don't remember
and
you saying this was a put the wife and kids to bed early type of game.
it wasn't. The
Okay.
2-year-old goes to bed at 7:30. I think it was
Mm.
a 8 o'clock kickoff, 8 o'clock Eastern kickoff, time zones.
Hmm.
But yeah, she had gone to bed early. Was like, I'm tired. I had a long day. I'm gonna go get in bed. So I said, okay. I continued to watch the game on the couch. That happened. I want to say in like the 87th minute. So it was pretty late at this point. We're pushing 10 o'clock. I jumped off the couch and screamed, and then was trying to figure out how it didn't go in. Went full surrender cobra, like hands on top of the head, exhaling. How did that not go in? We had a couple other chances, but yeah, she came out and was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "I don't know how that shot didn't go in." So she kind of felt my pain, but yeah, I thought we were the better team, especially late in that game. I thought the 3 points were kind of there for the taking, but again, like I said in the preview show 2 weeks ago, you settle for a point. I would have taken the point pre-match had you offered it to me, especially on that pitch. Really unpredictable, lots of strange bounces, lots of stuff going on. I was nervous because Delgado was basically standing on the third baseline for the whole
Yeah.
second half. So who knew what was going to happen there? Solid point all around.
Have you seen that before? Have you ever seen a soccer pitch as a baseball field in the professional world?
Peak, I think it's peak USL. I think there's a couple other teams like in the USL Championship too that do it. Like El Paso Locomotive plays on it. I mean, the Rowdies technically play in a baseball stadium that they've converted to a full-time soccer field. I think there's a few that do, and it kind of makes sense. But then you get a pitch like that, and I know Knoxville's had problems with that field, and I think that field's right downtown. They normally draw pretty well there, but it didn't seem like a lot of people were there on the Wednesday night, and it just wasn't a pretty sight.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd seen it, and I think I sent a picture to my girlfriend, was like, this is something I've never seen before. Because I always think it's weird when you play football games, um, on a football or on a baseball field, but that doesn't look as weird because historically, right, the A's and um, Marlins and Dolphins, A's and Raiders shared field, so it looked normal to me, but soccer, that was just like hard to overcome.
Yeah. I almost wish they would have left the dirt. I think that would have added a nuance to it, and that would truly give you a home field advantage. Like those old Raiders fields where you're playing with the infield,
Yep.
cutting through half the field. I think they should have left that. And while you're at it, leave the pitcher's mound. I think
That
the
would have
pitchers
been,
that would have
yeah.
added, we want to make it more exciting. You play on a baseball field, you might as well leave the whole baseball field.
Yeah, leave. That should be a requirement. Do you think they need to leave the bases in, or can they at least remove the bases?
I think you can remove the bases, but
Yeah,
I
that would
think
be a
having
hazard.
having a mound and we did forget NYCFC plays on a baseball field.
Yeah, they play at Yankee
Um,
Stadium.
yeah, so
I don't think they play there anymore. I think that
I think they
they,
might play at
that's,
City Field.
yeah, I thought
Well,
that they built their own stadium.
we should ask Michael on this one.
Yeah, let's get the
But they're
producer.
building their own stadium. Um, but yes, it's they do play on a baseball field. That just came to mind as we produce this show live, with half of what's in our heads.
The producer came in the air, said based on Google, they do play at Yankee Stadium.
Okay. I know sometimes they play at City Field too. I think that might be like their non-league games when they need a bigger field because that those short porches at Yankee Stadium.
Yep,
Um,
that's right. They do. Google is also telling me that at least six games are at City Field.
okay.
So yeah, yeah, weird pitch, but yeah, like you said, I'm good with the point. I'm not greedy. I think you take the mat point pregame, and you're right. I do think we had some great chances at the end, but it wasn't like we dominated the whole game. And at halftime, you're like, oh, 3 points is for us. Maybe the 75th minute, you're like, we could get all 3 points. Like we're
Yeah.
playing just better than them. Um, we don't want to be too aggressive there because here's the other thing, right? And I'll explain more on Saturday, or this can be our segue to Saturday against Knoxville. Getting a point is more valuable than the reward versus risk of 3 points going one way or the other. We're battling with that team. When we walk out of there, no blood. Versus if we go for the three and they counter and score, now we're probably not going to catch them in the standings.
Right. So if
So the risk there, I'm good with taking the point without the possibility of giving up the 3 points.
Yeah, I kind of like that analysis. And for those that are listening to us while you're driving and don't have the table in front of you, we're currently sitting in fourth place. Even with Knoxville, we have played an extra game, so Knoxville's got a game in hand, but sitting even with them on 38 points. Charlotte, who is up on Friday, is sitting there with 31 points. And Spokane Velocity sitting in second with 41 points, and the Chattanooga Red Wolves sitting in first with 44 points. So that's where we currently stand. You also have AV Alta with 31, Portland Hearts of Pine with 30, and Union Omaha with 27, rounding off the playoff spots. South Georgia Tormenta sits right outside of that playoff line right now, 26 points. So nice little cushion there. We're not guaranteed a playoff spot, obviously, because nothing seems to ever be guaranteed in USL League One, or in life for that matter. But we are sitting pretty solid right now in fourth position, with 7 points in hand on Charlotte. But yeah, let's talk about Saturday now, because I know you were saying pre-show you've got some opinions on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think I've been that upset with the result this year. Um, I as I'm walking in, we see I got a really good view of Westchester's opening goal, and it was kind of a what the heck happened here? How did that guy be that open in that position? Kind of like we talked about through the summer, was like just nobody there. Not really sure. The players were protesting something. They seemed very unhappy with the linesman, um, the official on our side of the field all night. A lot of them yelling at her to get her head in the game, start paying attention. So I'm guessing that there might have been an offsides the play before, and then either an offsides or handball or something that wasn't caught that then directly led to the goal. Right. And then from like the 8th minute on in the first half, total domination. I don't think we've seen Naples, FC Naples dominate um, the way they did for 30-ish minutes in that first half all season long. That was the best 30 minutes they played all year. Um, you get the two goals, both I believe from Hender Long.
Yeah.
And then you've got two or three chances. Hender Long getting a chance for the first half hat trick. And just can't put it away. And then you open up the second half thinking you're going to ride that momentum, and boom, it's 2-2 before people get back from getting another beer. I think right um, that goal happens at the 49th minute. So 4 minutes into both halves, the fourth minute, 49th minute, they score, and then really the last 41 minutes we're in control again and just can't score. Um, And you walk away from that with a point against the worst team. And this is what I was saying about Knoxville, right? Knoxville, you need that point. You're competing against them in the standings. You don't want to lose 3 points on them. Westchester, to me, the difference between 1 point and 3 points there um, is drastic. And getting two extra points to me would have been worth the risk of losing 1 point if they were to get that third goal. Um, So yeah, I think what's most frustrating, why I think it's one of the worst feelings this year was because the guys played hard. It wasn't, the first few minutes in each half, it was kind of lackadaisical, but then they locked in. Um, and it just they couldn't overcome and get that third goal at any point, right? They had 67 minutes plus two stoppage times to get a third goal. They couldn't do it. And walking away from that, I think is uh is bad. I think that is a draw that has felt more like a loss than any loss this season.
Yeah, it was one of those where you were right, where fourth minute they get a goal, and it's just kind of like, how did they just score? Like, this team's not very good. And I think Bergeron, or I don't know how you say his last name, but he's been very good for Westchester. One of the bright spots on that team, and he just kind of waltzes in, scores. And then from that point on, from that fifth minute until, through the end of first half stoppage time, we were just taking it to him. You get Henderlong with the 2 goals, and it was chance after chance. I think O'Connor was through on goal. Onan was through on goal. And their keeper was making, great saves.
Yep.
Coming out, like a couple times where they was all right in front of us, and we were like, oh, wow, that's a fantastic save. Wow, that's a great save. And then to let them back in the game to start the second half, and looking at the stats, I think we're overall, we saw it. We were the better team, 52% possession, 17 total shots, 2 big chances missed for us, more accurate passes, had less fouls committed. We were offside 4 times. We had 7 corners. Like, looking at the stats, we were clearly the better team. So yeah, it is super frustrating to not come out of there with all 3 points. And I think we took that long walk back to the car, and we're just like, how did we drop points in that match? It was surely that draw that feels like a loss, and a painful one at that.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at the stats now with, a week and some change separating, I am blown away by how close the stats are. I would have thought we had more than 53% possession. They had 14 shots. We had the same number of shots on target. So kind of crazy that it was statistically that close when at the game it felt lopsided. I think anybody watching that game, I think if you were to just show the highlights to somebody, they would have said surely Naples won that game 4-2, 5-2. Um, so yeah, disappointing. But again, what's frustrating about it was it wasn't overall for a lack of trying. It was just 2 bad moments, 2 lackadaisical moments, and quite frankly, in soccer, that can be the difference. And hopefully, it's a learning lesson um, for us moving forward that we got to play a full 90. Um, in this league, nobody is so much better than any other team that you can take a few minutes off. And we're historically a team that starts off pretty well and closes halves poorly. Um, so that's, I think, what was really weird about it. If it would have been in the 41st minute and the 88th minute, it would have been more par for the course. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's typical
that's
Naples.
classic Naples. But no, with it being, first 4 minutes, and then the first 4 minutes of the second half, it was not great. But you do have to give credit to Carson Henderlong there, who's just, 2 class finishes
Yep.
to continue in that Golden Boot race.
Who I
Excited for
believe
him.
he's now in the lead after their last game. But yeah, it's just one of those things that if we win, even if we win just 3-2, we're talking about what a masterclass on offense that was for them. And that's what's unfortunate with just the few bad minutes is that the tone's totally changed. And instead of celebrating the team, it's kind of, hey, this result feels really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, tough one too. Pretty good crowd too, like 2,700, I want to say.
Did you
All
count,
making
or
some
is that
noise.
from online?
That was me counting.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, that's straight from the box score. I had written down 2,742, so that's what was the reported attendance. But yeah, just tough loss. But then, we always talk on this show about how you're going to respond. And it seemed like we got a response this past Saturday against Greenville. Finally getting back in the win column, getting another 3 points at home, a 2-1 win. We finally beat Greenville after a draw and a loss on the road to them. Exciting stuff. Henderlong with another goal. Cisneros, bangers only, beats the keeper near post. Two first half stoppage time goals. So maybe we have learned how to close out a half. They get back in it with Mensah in the 66th minute, who's been stellar for them all year. But yeah, another a solid 3 points at home going into this Friday.
Yeah, really disappointed we couldn't get an episode out last week because I'm going to totally pivot my anger for the results against Westchester and be very upbeat and positive because that was phenomenal, a phenomenal game through and through from the guys. Um, Shout out to the ref for allowing play to go long enough for us to get the second goal. I believe it was like 2 or 3 minutes after the allowed stoppage time. I think we got like two corners after, I think it was 7 minutes of stoppage time. I think we had two corners after the 52nd minute.
That might have
And
been the longest first half in, and it was rightfully so. I think there was a cooling break in there, a lot of stoppages, a lot of
I
cramps,
think there
just
was
a
an injury.
slow
Yeah.
first half, but plus 45 plus 9 for Cisneros. Yeah, I'll take that.
And it's one of those things I've seen it a lot of times, right? Where after that corner comes in, that's after the allowed stoppage time. If you get a second corner, usually they're blowing it dead and not granting that second corner. Um, and if Cisneros isn't there and it trickles past him, obviously we don't score, but the half's over. Like if they clear that ball, half's over. And thankfully that we needed that because they ended up getting one back in the second half. Um, but yeah, a couple just awesome goals off of set pieces once again, kind of like they had against Westchester. Um, so good to see that come back. Yeah, very positive. And Greenville is, yes, they're down at the bottom, towards the bottom of the table, right? They are sitting 3 points out of a playoff spot, 2 games in hand for Union Omaha. So they're probably not making the playoffs, but that's a team that's in the semifinals of the Jägermeister Cup. Like this is not a bad squad that's out there, and that was their ones. A team that's in the Jägermeister semifinal. Um, yeah, the scoreline's 2-1, but I think we won that game pretty handedly.
Yeah, they're actually playing on Wednesday night too. So, had we gotten a preview episode out and been better at our, part-time hobby, if you could call it that, what this show is, um, if we had gotten that episode out, I think we would have been talking about, they've got Hartford midweek on Wednesday in the Jägermeister Cup semifinal. They're probably not going to make the playoffs in the league. They still could, but they're probably not going to. Is that game holding more weight now for them? But regardless, like you said, yeah, it was the ones out there. So they did play a pretty strong 11, and we were the better team for 90 minutes of that game. We let them back in it off of a well worked goal. We'll give him credit. He had plenty of time in the box to finish that one, pick his spot. But yeah, I thought it was a dominant performance by us, which was nice to see, especially coming off of that Westchester game and at
Yeah,
home too.
yeah, good to send the fans home happy. That's always what you want to do when you play at home. And they played well and deserved the 3 points in that one, and they got it. So um, pleased with the result, pleased with the bounce back. Like you said, it's how you respond. And right, that's the difference between being in the locker room and being two guys that talk sports is right. I can be as angry as I want about the results. Um, and I can come on this podcast with all of our listeners and bang my fist about how terrible of a loss this is. Um, but in reality, I mean, this is their job, and if you have a bad day auditing somebody, well, that could be a really bad day. Um, but if you don't do your best, one day at your job, you need to show up the next day and just keep working hard. And that's Matt Poland's job, is to keep these guys looking ahead and let the talking heads, talk about how poorly they played. And Matt Poland's job is to get them back onto the practice ground, get them back playing well. And the player's job is to be better next time. And they were better next time. And that's really, as a fan, all you can ask for. Because if you're going to get up in arms with every bad performance, and that wasn't against Westchester. Wasn't really a bad performance. It was a bad result, but not a bad performance. Um, you're just never going to be happy. So, um, it was good to see them bounce back, play hard, and get the full 3 points because that was a game that really could have, been a 1-1 game, and you're, walking away somewhat satisfied. So yeah, great response from them, and great job all around.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out again to Carson Henderlong, who I really hope can continue on this form. And I wish we were playing USL League One Fantasy because he must be the top points getter. He must be the top, fantasy points getter in League One. Just goal after goal. And he kind of comes out of nowhere on the first goal where the ball's going across and it looks like it's going out for a goal kick. And then, boom, there he is, back post, taps it in. No problem. Cool as you like. And then Julian Cisneros, who only ever seems to score the best goals. He had a chance earlier in the first half where I was like, oh, here, it's Cisneros. This is going to be a banger. And then I think the keeper made a great save or it just went wide. I think it was the keeper saving it. I should have taken notes. But then, Cisneros comes back late in the first half, and the ball just kind of falls to him, and he doesn't have much room for error on that shot, and he just buries it into the back of the net, beats the keeper, and we're going in the locker room up 2-0. He especially seems to be, when he's switched on, him and Glasser, I think Dangler and Evans have been pretty great all year, but him and Glasser really seem to be like that spark. And when they're on and when they're firing on all cylinders and we can play in transition like we like to, that seems to be the key for us having success.
Yeah,
Uh,
talking based on so watching the broadcast and love. If you don't watch the road games, obviously this was a home game. It's a road game for me. If you can't attend the game, I really recommend watching. ESPN Plus does a great job with their broadcast. If if I were to ask you how many call-ups to the international window USL had, this is the championship in League One. How many call-ups to international squads do you think the USL produced?
I'm going to go 15.
Pretty close. We had 15, 17. 17
17. That's
call-ups.
impressive.
That is an impressive number, right? Especially because a lot of these guys are either American or from bigger soccer countries. You're not getting guys from Denmark or Iceland, for the most part. So yeah, that was a pretty cool number that they produced. Um, and yeah, they had a pretty good halftime report with Matt Poland, Fox Sports. They called it a podcast. It wasn't really much of a podcast. I didn't think the Fox guy was all that great. It's not better than Forza Naples, but still pretty good. Seeing Fox 4 in Naples giving the team some coverage.
They're in your corner, so that makes
They're in your
sense.
corner.
So looking ahead now to Friday, just to piggyback off that too, before we move on from that. Yeah, I do think the ESPN Plus coverage has been great, and we've kind of been bashing MLS on this show. To not even be able to find MLS half the time because it's hidden behind a paywall on Apple TV, and yeah, they're hidden behind a paywall on ESPN Plus, but at least with ESPN Plus, you get so much more. We're not being paid by ESPN Plus either, but I can watch all my ASUN sports on ESPN Plus. Can't do that on Apple yet, so ESPN
And
Plus,
what
well worth it.
fan doesn't have ESPN Plus these days? Like, I don't know, and it's
Or at
you
least
just
someone's
need.
ESPN Plus login. That's the
Yeah,
key.
yeah. It is a yeah. I mean, I've had it since it came out, um, and even CBS, Paramount Plus, CBS Sports Network, covering the games. It really is the difference, and I think that's one of the main reasons. We'll have promotion relegation and great broadcast deals that will make the USL better than MLS. And I have not heard one story of any USL player spitting on another player all season. I haven't heard one.
No.
It doesn't mean
Hap-
it doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it just didn't get covered.
I don't know what is going on with the amount of spitting in sports these past 2 weeks. You have Suarez now last weekend, and then you go. We had it with the Cowboys game on Thursday, and then the
Hmm.
Florida USF game on Saturday. What is going on?
And it's weird because that's not right. If you push somebody, you throw a punch. I can totally understand in that moment of frustration and I'm going to take a swing. It always makes me laugh in football when they take swings at people because all you're going to do is break your hand when you punch somebody's helmet. But it does not make sense to me why in your mind why it would ever come to spitting on somebody intentionally the way that those three individuals did. If the story was like Dak spat at Jalen Carter because Dak Prescott apparently spits all the time on the football field, and that's a well-known fact. Right? And you've seen it in baseball where a batter or a pitcher will spit at the other, in the direction as a sign of disrespect. But spitting on somebody in all my years playing sports, never once did I think I'm going to spit on an opponent. It's just not. And to me, that is way worse. You should be suspended twice the amount of games that you should be suspended for throwing a punch.
Yeah, it's just gross. Like, what has to come over someone to be like, hey, I'm so angry, I'm gonna spit at you? I don't know. Moving on before we get too far into breaking down saliva. Friday, Naples travels to Charlotte Independence. First ever meeting between these two sides. Charlotte Independence, sitting right below us in the table in fifth. Played the same amount of games, a worse goal difference. They actually have a -1 goal difference. They're coming off of 3 straight losses to Union Omaha, Portland Hearts of Pine, and then Chattanooga on Saturday. What are you looking for, or what are you looking forward to in this matchup?
Um, right, tough road test, and this would be a playoff. It's a playoff preview. Um, most likely we end up in fourth. I think being realistic, we're probably going to end up as the 4th seed, just with Knoxville having a game in hand. Um, right, so I think we almost need to treat this as a playoff game and go in. Um, and that's what's interesting, right? In soccer, there's drastic home road splits and makes playoff seeding kind of interesting that you're going to have, um, a potential road playoff game. So I think being strong through the midfield is going to be key. I think when we are strong through the midfield, um, it elevates our game and we become a lot tougher to stop. And then just looking at the back line to stay solid. We got that clean sheet against Knoxville. First one in a long time. Um, so I think it's a lot to be positive. And now you're starting to find who's going to play with who. You kind of know that stuff now, right? You're not looking for it. Um, so looking to see what Matt Poland's kind of strategy is, playoff time, and who's going to be paired together, who's going to be subbed off together, who's going to be the subs. Looking for Bastianstein to get his first goal at some point. You bring him in mid-season; he's had enough time to work with the squad. So hoping to see him in the lineup at some point because he's just a unit. Watching him run down the field, um, the power. He's not fast, but he's strong, and I think that could be very useful come playoff time when the game gets a little more physical.
Yeah, I like that. It was an unnamed or unchanged side from the 2-2 draw at Westchester to the 2-1 win in Greenville. So I think that seems to be our kind of like go-to starting 11. Everyone's healthy. That's going to be the way we start games, and the way we like to play. So I think look for maybe an unchanged 11 going into Friday. One less day of rest. I don't think it has that big an impact on these guys. But an unchanged side, and I do kind of like our chances against Charlotte. They've kind of been down lately, and we need to kick them while they're down. Coming off of 3 straight losses, I think we can really take it to them. They seem to be like a team that likes to possess the ball. They've had more possession in those 3 losses than the opponent. So letting them kind of possess the ball, not letting them do anything with it in the final third. They have only been shut out, I think, a couple times this season. They can score goals. So if we can limit their chances, they can give up a lot of goals too. They lost 4-1 to Omaha, 4-2 to Portland recently. So let's go to them. Let's score early, score often, and keep taking it to them. You got a scoreline prediction you like in this one, Paul?
I like 1-1. I think we're gonna score in the first half, give up a second half goal. Um, I think a 1-1 draw, and I'd be pleased. I don't care how they play. If we walk out of there with a point, I'm gonna be happy. I'll be ecstatic about three because 3 points doesn't guarantee us a home playoff spot, but it puts us right on the doorstep. And this is the first, so right, we have 7 games left. That's is my math. Can you check my math? We got Charlotte Independence, Heart of Pine, AV Alta, Union Omaha, Westchester, Spokane, and then Independence again. What do you notice about those teams that I just mentioned?
It's teams we've beat,
Except AV
and all
Alta, but
except AV Alta, but and all teams that are also in the playoff spots right now.
except for Westchester, right? We've got 6 games against playoff teams, and only Spokane. Spokane's the only team that's locked up a playoff spot. Um, not mathematically, but for all intents and purposes, a team that's only lost 4 times all year. Them missing the playoffs would be a crazy occurrence, especially since they have 9 games left. So we're going to be getting the best shots from everybody because all of them need to get points to stay in the playoffs, and we need points to stay at a home playoff spot. Um, right. So we kind of hit a grueling part of the season, which is what makes that Westchester draw that much more painful. That when we were playing poorly in the summer, it was against mostly playoff teams. And now we get the end of the year, and luckily we've done well enough in the first 23 matches that really, unless we pick up 0 points in the next 7, we're probably in a playoff spot in some way, shape, or form. South Georgia is 12 points behind us. So if we pick up 3 at any point, it locks us in. So it'd be interesting to see how we respond now. I think we were all disappointed with the summer performance. We get another stretch where it's against almost exclusively playoff teams. And this is when you find out realistically how far this team can go.
Yeah, that's a great point and something I hadn't even put together. It's going to be a really tough run in, so I think every game is going to matter from here on out, and we're going to need all the points we can get, especially if we want to be playing at home at least for one game in the playoffs. Definitely a tough run in, and that last time we played Spokane feels like it was forever ago. Obviously playing Westchester again, Omaha we've had good luck with, but now we got to go to Omaha. Yeah, it's Portland Hearts of Pine we haven't beat yet either. We've got a really tough run in, and it's really going to put this team to the test, I think. So looking forward to seeing what we can do, and hopefully this kind of sets us up on a good run of form. We finish off strong, and then we kind of glide right into the playoffs, hosting playoff games, and then we're ready to go because we've already played and hopefully beaten the best of the best by that point.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we talked about it early in the year. It's a gruesome schedule travel wise. I mean, Charlotte's not that bad. It's a quick American Airlines flight from RSW, I'm sure. But then you're going to Maine, you're going to Omaha, and you're going to New York. Like that's a lot of travel that these guys have in the next month, with only the three home games. I'm looking forward to that AV Alta game. Getting them to come to us is going to be an interesting. Right, we had the bad 4-1 loss, and I think the 1-1 draw. That felt like a win. Um, and then Spokane, who's top of the league. That could be us keeping them from winning the league, which will be interesting. I think it's at this point playing to host a playoff game. I think winning the league regular season. I think that's probably going to would be a really lofty, would take a great run of form to achieve that. So at this point, any point picked up is going to be crucial.
Yeah, 6 points back of first place right now, and that's not including we've played one more game than them. So
Hmm. And
Chattanooga's
two
got a game
more
in hand,
and two
and
more
two
than
more than
Spokane.
Spokane.
So
Yeah, so
Spokane could win the league, and that game, two match days before the finish, could be us keeping them from winning. I'm looking forward to talking about that when that time comes. But right now, it's a big game against Charlotte, who's only they are right behind us in the table, and if we drop all 3 points, that becomes an uncomfortably close lead. That would drop them to just 4 points um, behind us, which is still 2 games, but um, too close for comfort there.
yeah, especially with that tough run of form coming up, just to separate ourselves with them, and then knowing we've got AV Alta on the horizon too, to pick up back-to-back 3 points there, that would really almost solidify us in that home playoff spot, keeping those teams from picking up points between
Hmm.
and Portland too, right behind us on 30. Not that like 8 points is seems like a lot, but if you start losing games, that'll be gone in a jiffy. So yeah,
Would
need to stay strong on this final run in.
If I told you, what would be more shocking to you if in 3 weeks we're talking we have just lost, we've dropped 9 straight points, or we've picked up 9 straight points? 3 wins or 3 losses. What would be more surprising to you?
I think 3 losses, just coming off of how we played in that Greenville match. I think to lose three in a row would be shocking. And we kind of got away from that since July, and May when we went on those kind of terrible runs. So 3 losses I think would be rough. We're looking at it now. We haven't lost in the league since, or haven't lost. Yeah, excuse me, haven't lost in the league since that 4-1 AV Alta match back in June. We did pick up a Jägermeister Cup loss and a loss at Greenville in the Jägermeister, 2 Jägermeister Cup losses. But yeah, haven't lost in the league since June, so unbeaten since then. Keep that run up in these final 7 games.
And with as rough as that time frame was, and I do think that having some of those cup losses, I think there were 3 cup losses in that bad run of June, um, that made it feel worse than it was. We've only lost 5 times all year, and I think twice against Chattanooga, once against Hearts of Pine, AV Alta. I can't think of in Knoxville, right there. And they were, other than the Alta game, Chattanooga, they got that BS third goal, um, playing a man down, but they've all been close. So I agree that the 3 losses would be really, really shocking. But I also think that if we walked away with 9, I'd be very impressed, and I would probably be bringing the energy that we had the first few weeks when we were saying we're winning the league, guaranteed.
Oh yeah, I think I could down 9 beers at the FC Naples game if we beat AV Alta in the beer garden afterwards. So if we pick up 9 points, challenge is on.
If
I got some beer
we,
garden chips that are burning a hole in my pocket too. So
and that is an official wager, kind of like the hot dog wager from the 4th of July that didn't happen. So if that
oh
happens,
shoot, did I just jinx us?
you may have jinxed us, but that's far more lofty than goals against the championship team. So I think you're on record saying 9 beers inbound if after AV Alta we win AV Alta for our ninth straight, which would actually be our 4th straight win, and would be a lot of straight points. I'm not going to do that math, but there'd be 9 points. So stay tuned for that episode later in the month to see if Ian's at risk of having to down 9 beers. And hopefully his designated driver can be in attendance.
Oh, hopefully. Um, hopefully I don't live to regret that. Now that I've learned how to edit podcasts, maybe I'll edit that out. But Paul, anything else you want to add before we go?
It's a stretch of the season, a lot of road games, but doesn't mean you can't support the team by watching them on ESPN Plus or CBS Sports Network, whatever channel they're on, and following the team on Instagram, following us on Instagram, and yes, keep showing support for the club. We need it now, and looking forward to Friday night, which is not a late night game for me. That is a 4 o'clock Pacific Coast kick for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, looking forward to finishing out the season with you. It's been a fun ride so far, and looking forward to the end. Also, got to give a shout out to our friend David, who's been listening in the UK. Keep splitting those G's, David, with your Guinnesses. But yeah, looking forward to the ending of this this fun first season, and hopefully a couple home playoff games to boot. Until next time, thank you all so much for listening. Please get in touch with the show. We love hearing from you. You can shoot us an email, ForzaNaples239@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Bluesky. ForzaNaplesPod on Instagram, and then just ForzaNaples on Bluesky. But yeah, love hearing from you all. So please keep in touch, and we will see you all soon.